transformed over the long term. So Making money isn't about drowning in emotions. It's about understanding what's actually happening. Markets are the best way to glean signal from noise, and that is what we try to do every morning. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Welcome to the world of decentralized finance.
Why is it that NFTs have not recovered in the same way that, say, Bitcoin has?
Bloomberg is covering all things cryptos.
A pretty spectacular story.
This is the future. This is the 21st century economy. The transactions.
Snapped up nearly $1 billion of Bitcoin.
And the technology.
We need to build a digital Fort Knox.
That gives people financial freedom, and that's a wonderful thing. It's extraordinary.
We ride the wave that is Bitcoin. Bloomberg Crypto, only on Bloomberg. The countdown is on. Everything you need to get the edge at the end of the market day. Get ahead of tomorrow's trading with the close. Weekdays on Bloomberg. Context changes everything.
At the end of the day, the key to this business model is to get everything together. Vertical integration is very important to win. If SpaceX is IPOing in the next few weeks, and then after that, you have OpenAI and Anthropic. I think it's going to keep us busy over the summer.
That was Pierre Felliger of New Street Research joining us a little bit earlier on the blockbuster IPOs you can expect for the year ahead. Check out the market now. Bit of a turn here, up by a third of 1% on the S&P, higher by a third on the NASDAQ also, close to session highs. Turn around in the bond market as well. Yields this morning were slightly higher by a basis point, now lower. We're down by 3, 10s at 4.53, 30s at 5.06%. Turnaround in crude as well. We were higher by 2%, now just about holding on to gains on WTI. WTI at 96, Brent crude at 103, searching for a headline to drive the price action.
Correct. I can't find one. Honestly, if you know why this trade rumor suddenly looks like it can be unlocked, please message, because I'm not finding it.
Isn't this the frustration though for people in this market right now? You see moves like that, you look at the charts, you start searching the wires, looking for a headline associated with that story. Every single time there's been a gain through March, through April, through May.
I need to train my agent better to go find it better. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be the agents that are looking for the headlines that then trade off of it. And the humans are just left saying, what's going on? I mean, at a certain point, how much is that part of the reason why, speaking to your point about capitalism, do people say, look, I can't get ahead of this. Somebody has the headline before I have the headline, and this isn't necessarily going on fundamental research. So I'm out of the game. I'm going long term.
It's also problematic with the headlines, given that when you hear out of Iran is from semi-official or fully official news agencies.
Yeah.
There's no real reporting coming out of Iran that's independent. So that's when you're left to whack-a-mole, really, when it comes to these headlines. What are they saying versus what the White House is saying?
Brent crude still up around 1%. WTI just about unchanged now on the session. That's the price action so far. Let's turn to the morning calls. First up, Bank of America raising its price target on Ross stores to 255, citing the company's first quarter beat at higher outlook. Your second call from JP Morgan, adding Walmart to its analyst focus list and keeping an overweight rating, saying the post-earnings sell-off is a buying opportunity. And your third and final call from Piper Sandler, raising its price target on Zoom to 107, the analyst citing vendor consolidation and price increases. Let's talk about those IPOs. OpenAI gearing up to go public, confidentially to file as soon as today. The race heating up for a historic pipeline of companies preparing to hit the public market. Ed Ludlow joins us now for more. Good morning again. What are you expecting from OpenAI on top of SpaceX, on top of potentially Anthropic later this year?
Good morning. I mean, I am expecting, what I'm hearing is that this is real, that the confidential filing could be today or in the coming days, through the holiday week in the US. Curious timing, right? It's so interesting, John. Like, over the last 24 hours, I've been thinking a lot about what we talked about on surveillance yesterday, which is, in my world, they talk about the currency being compute. And in your world, or our broader Bloomberg world in aggregate, we're talking more about capital. And the capital markets right now are confronting a situation that's probably a little bit unprecedented, in that there is not infinite liquidity. And so if SpaceX goes in mid-June, as we expect, and this is all real about OpenAI going in September and Anthropic going in October, you've got a big decision to make, right? There's not infinite liquidity. But the biggest take that I've had now, having had a couple of short nights to sleep on it, is read the S1 again from SpaceX. And the TAM number that they gave, $26.5 trillion for AI, they're basically saying
and other critical minerals that the U.S. wants to keep a really close eye on. So I think that's what it does, and that's a very powerful symbol or signal for the broader space. And that's why we saw much of the space absolutely skyrocketing yesterday with stocks up 20-25% across the space.
Do you think it's appropriate for them to be picking who's going to be the winner and who's going to be the loser in a race that has been typically in the past, dictated by capital markets?
I think what we saw is the U.S. government's willingness to deploy $2 billion wasn't necessarily on one single company, right? It was across the space. And we think we see it more as an endorsement of quantum computing as a strategic priority, as opposed to picking winners and losers. I mean, you saw companies like Rigetti, D-Wave, Quantinuum across a broad variety of modalities. So I wouldn't particularly say that they're picking a winner or a loser. I think they're taking a portfolio approach and expecting more than one winner as the industry matures over the next 3 to 4 years.
But do you think this helps or dampens competition within the space?
I think it's I don't think it hurts. This definitely doesn't hurt competition. It just simply provides capital to some of these players. And mind you, most of these companies are already well capitalized. Right? Most of these publicly traded quantum companies are already sitting on hundreds of millions of cash, if not $1 billion of cash with no debt. So that money helps. And if anything, it might compress timelines towards commercial mass production of these systems. But I think we're watching quantum kind of cross an important threshold. The competition will be fierce, and the space will consolidate over the next few years as we kind of move from scientific exploration and prototypes to manufacturing readiness and industrial scale deployment. So I think competition will remain fierce across the various modalities and across the various incumbents in space.
Competition is fierce in the United States, but where is it also fierce in terms of geopolitical landscape? Who's behind the United States right now? Is it just China?
So there's a vibrant ecosystem in Europe as well. But let's be clear, China is a formidable adversary in this industry. The government of China has invested billions of dollars behind its domestic ecosystem, which I think also was a point of emphasis for the U.S. government to step in and further these investments in the domestic ecosystem here in the United States.
Antoine, appreciate your take. Thanks for joining us this morning. Enjoy the long weekend. Antoine Lagoda of Wedbush. How many people bought IBM yesterday because they saw what's happened with Intel this year, and the stock is up by more than 200%?
If the U.S. has a stake in it, they have a stake to keep that company going. At what point does it become a self-fulfilling prophecy? And are they picking winners and the losers at a time where there still is plenty of capital for these companies? It's not as though these companies are starved for interest when it comes to investors. So is it necessary for the nation to get involved? It's a viable question.
I used to say this to the car makers, by the way. I remember catching up with GM a number of years ago, and they would come on and say things like, the demand for EVs is great. I'd be like, why do you need the subsidies then if it's that good? Right? And I think the same applies here to some extent. There's so much money going into the system right now. With Intel, it was slightly different. I understood the need to build out foundry capacity from a geopolitical perspective. I kind of understood that. And if the market was going to take the money there, then you had to sort of sacrifice the market at the altar of national security to some extent. And maybe you can make the argument for this as well. You just have to wonder how far they're willing to take that. And there are negative consequences associated with it.
Yeah, why not give grants that are competitive to new scientists who are coming up with interesting quantum computing models? Why not train young scientists to get involved? Why not identify talented kids and give them scholarships to go different places?
That's what the Democrats did, and they're taking a different approach in the Biden administration. Definitely taking a different approach.
A very different approach. Coming up on this program, we'll catch up with Yelena Shiletseva at the conference board on the outlook for the US consumer under a new regime at the Federal Reserve.
I'm Danny Berger, and this is Bloomberg Deals. Every week, only on Bloomberg Television. Morning. Nice. Buckle up.
the incoming chair wants to focus the risks to the both sides of the dual mandate, and obviously rising risks in terms of inflation. I think June is the month when Kevin Warsh, is at the helm of the Fed, and that's probably when the committee will decide to move to towards more neutral stance.
How constrained is this Federal Reserve by the long end of the yield curve? The idea that 10-year yields have been shifting higher, even as people price in a potential rate hike as soon as early next year. Do you expect some sort of Fed Treasury Accord to come into fruition in the first few months of his term?
Nothing is probably going to happen in the short term. I think this is a more gradual move. The balance sheet policy in particular will take time. I understand that there's like some inclination, some desire for the incoming chair to reduce the size of the balance sheet, but that should come from regulatory
I feel to this program.
I think that people hope that that's what Kevin Warsh will do with policy.
Just kind of, you're looking at the return monitor sometimes, just trying to figure out.
Like you just
Can't hear me, can hear me. It's frozen. He's still with us. He's back.
Now I hear.
There, El. Good to have you with us, buddy. Talk to me about why you thought this, please. Tell me why.
I'll start with our thesis, and then the four fundamental reasons why you want to own bonds here or feel comfortable owning bonds. First, the range of 2025 for U.S. 10-year Treasuries was 390 to 480. We believe that would hold. It has held. Anything above 435, the midpoint is a buying level. Anything below 435 is a selling level. We have been buying bonds 450, 460, almost bought at 470, and will continue to buy on any pullbacks. The four fundamental reasons that are supportive of that are: one, if there is a resolution in Iran, you will get a rally in bonds, a relief rally. It'd be short-lived, but you will. Two, tax refund season is coming to an end, which means you will see a pullback in consumer spending and growth, and people will have growth concerns. We do not. I can come back to that later. And three, people forget the two reasons you want to own bonds are for yield, the yield income, get the coupon regularly to pay expenses, and for flight to quality. When inflation is not involved. So from a yield perspective, we are at very high all-in yields, very supportive, above inflation, real returns, underlying economy is fine. We feel comfortable buying then. And then the flight to quality. Once you have a resolution to Iran and inflation is on, let's say, the side burner, it's not off, but it's on the side burner, the thing we're watching at is the percolation right now and what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. Brings back a flight to quality without the inflation implications that was happening in Iran. So those are the reasons why you want to own bonds above 450, which we still are, 10-year treasuries. We could see that very quickly going back into that 435 to 425 range. And that's our thesis, and it's held this year. It's treated us very well as active managers, and we think it'll continue to hold.
Earl, what's higher quality, the U.S. government or NVIDIA?
Great question. We would say, given the risk reward and that you're receiving a spread above treasuries, we would put NVIDIA then, because you're receiving a higher spread and it's very safe. Cash flows are supportive right now. In regards to what is ultimately better, it's the U.S. treasuries because they print U.S. dollars. You'll always get paid par no matter what happens. NVIDIA is not printing any NVIDIA currency. So, but we like NVIDIA better than we would U.S. bonds because of the credit spread.
El Davis of BMO. Next time you're on, I'm just going to freeze.
All right, thank you.
Freak you out. Thank you, sir. Coming up next week, Steve Cheveron of Federated Hermes, the former New York Fed President, Bill Dudley joining us, Mona Mahajan of Edward Jones, Amanda Lynham of Goldman Sachs joining us as well. All of that after a long weekend, and this a little bit later. Kevin Warsh, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, alongside the President of the United States.
Setting the stage for what could be a new era, not just for the Federal Reserve, but also more broadly for the economy. Are we entering a new inflationary moment that's going to cause a real challenge at the same time of weakening growth? Or is he walking into a transition period where he can then cut rates later, as many people in the equity markets believe?
And he's walking into a potentially incredibly difficult political environment. The president at the moment looks to be giving him some breathing room, says he's going to give him the space, he's going to make the right decision, do what he wants. But at some point, does that change?
We're going to have some movement in the Middle East over this long weekend.
The president literally said his son chose a really bad weekend to get married because she has a little thing like Iran going on. It's
Do you think that
busy
actually might have been an important line for the president?
Potentially, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, why isn't he going to his son's wedding?
Yeah, I don't think you're the only one thinking that, to be honest with you. Futures right now on the S&P, session highs, Brammer, off the back of some of the headlines on the Middle East.
Yeah, I think that we should stick around and cover this extensively through the weekend.
The wedding, you want to do wedding coverage?
100% wall to wall.
Okay.
No, I think that, just if anything happens, we'll be ready to come back in, right?
I will take a hard pass on that, if that's okay. I'll give that a miss.
I think a lot of people are.
I think we should wind this shut down immediately. All right. From New York City this morning. Good morning. Thank you for choosing Bloomberg TV. Have a very restful long weekend from New York City. This was Bloomberg Surveillance.
Tensions are high.
Both sides willing to go back to the battlefield.
The narrative changes moment to moment.
Is there a ceasefire? Is there not a ceasefire? Markets are up, markets are down.
Count on Bloomberg for up-to-the-minute reporting.
Breaking news this morning. Breaking news in the last few minutes.
On-the-ground perspective.
Looking to you from the bomb shelter.
It's White House still pushing.
And the analysis you need to make informed decisions fast.
Nothing is final until it's well and truly final.
The really important question is whether we'll get second round effects.
Nobody covers geopolitics like Bloomberg.
When I visited Fernandez at IMAX's headquarters outside Toronto, we went to the facility where IMAX designs and maintains its cameras. The latest next-gen equipment was out with directors on filmed for IMAX sets, but there was still plenty of cool gear on view.
As the head of the finance department, do you look at all the things in this room and think, this cost that amount of money, this cost that amount of money?
Thankfully, no. I don't, when I think about cameras in general and what we, when we first, I'll give you a really prime example, the film cameras. When you thought about it, okay, are we building 2? Are we building 4? Are you building 8? Right? And that's where I start to think about, well, what makes the most sense from a return perspective? Because yes, Nolan wants the cameras, but how many other filmmakers out there use the film cameras? The lens that I look at it through is essentially how many do we build and in what way? Because the one thing is we are going to invest to build it right and to build it for longevity. But do you need 10 of them? No. Building 4, that was the right number. And do we potentially want to build a couple more? Maybe a couple more, but I don't think we need 10 because they won't always be in use all the time.
I imagine that at different points, you need to tell people no. What's that process like for you?
Oh yeah, it's a key role in the CFO position. It is a word that most people are used to, and yet they still think you're not going to say it.
My old mentor, Roger Staubach, who told me when I transitioned, football will never leave you, but you need to leave it.
Wow.
Everyone has a dream. And a lot of dreams are, my dream is to play football and play professional football. And you get the dream comes true, but it is going to end. And the day it ends, the day before it ends, you're one of the best in the world. Great. The next day you wake up, that's gone. What are you great at? And the truth is nothing, right? I'm not great at anything else.
I talk about it all the time, Steve, is this whole idea of it's not from penthouse to penthouse. And what I mean by that is you played for 15, 20 years and you're in the penthouse. It doesn't mean that you come to the business world and you're going to be in the penthouse. You don't start on the 3rd floor or the lobby. You actually have to start in the basement.
Bringing you up to them in the news whenever and wherever it happens. I'm Sherian in Seoul, and this is Bloomberg.
It is Friday. After 8 weeks of gains, we are on track potentially for an all-new record close at the end of today's session. 30 minutes till the start of the cash trade. I'm Matt Miller. Danny Berger is deservedly off today. Bloomberg open interest starts right now. Coming up, the S&P 500 heads for its longest winning streak since 2023, thanks to relentless AI optimism. Stocks also getting a boost from hopes of a U.S.-Iran peace deal, though major sticking points remain. And a day after the filing for the biggest IPO ever, SpaceX delays a critical test of its massive Starship rocket. Let's take a look at the stocks that have benefited from this incredible 8-week rally right up at the top. Intel, this is a look since March 30th, up 188% if you round up. Then you see SanDisk, Micron, AMD, Seagate, On Semiconductor, Western Digital. These are all the chip makers that have pushed the SOX index up to 25 times earnings valuation. And meanwhile, the S&P 500 is on pace, as I said, for the longest winning streak in 8 years, driven, at least in part, by these chip makers. Bloomberg senior strategist Jan Patrick Barnard joins us now out of Frankfurt. And JP, I know that our stock story says, maybe hopes of a peace deal in Iran are helping as well. We've had those hopes for like the last 8 weeks, but it's really about the AI optimism, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this story is still a big part of the market. What is going on? Of course, like the headlines for a potential deal in Iran is certainly helping. But I would argue, like over the past 8 weeks, the market like increasingly was not very worried about like the macro impact from higher oil prices and what it does to inflation, and the higher rates were like basically ignored, and everybody was so hyper focused on the AI trade and within that AI trade. And I think like we are now at the point where we're talking about concentration within concentration. The chip story was just like all over it. And I mean, like going forward, we saw a little bit of a rotation since last Friday, that people have like sold or take profit on that popular chips trade and moved a little bit more into other areas. I mean, like we're seeing Europe outperforming this week, for example. But like going forward, it's really like a question. This AI trade it's becoming so big and so dominant that really the question is like, how do we look at stock markets and how do we judge if the stock market is doing well or not, when like half of it or even like 3/4 of it are just like one theme?
Yeah, absolutely. Concentration front and center, which is why the S&P 500, I mean, since a year ago is up almost 30%, whereas the equal weight index is only up 15%. That's the concentration there. You mentioned rates, and I know we do have today stocks up again, and we could hit an all new record if we push over 75.01 at the close. Rates are down. Oil is lower than it was, 24 hours ago. And these two factors have been, I mean, somewhat important to equity indexes over the past couple of weeks.
Let's talk about last night, because we got, you guys, the full Shohei Ohtani experience. 5 scoreless innings. He lowered his ERA to 0.73. And just the way this game started, paint the picture for you in case you missed it. First pitch, leadoff home run, then got on the mound and struck out the side. Like, even though he was a little off command-wise, like compared to all of his other dominating outings this season, he put up O's and he lowered his ERA, which is the most important thing. The most important thing. And, we haven't been blessed with every one of his outings, him also hitting. So the fact that we got him in, I think it's like the first time this month that he has actually hit while he's been pitching, was just exactly what we needed to see last night.
It was perfect. Everything about it was perfect. If you blinked, if you went to take out the trash cans, if you forgot something in the car, you missed that home run. And from that moment, what I love about Shohei this season, and the only silver lining from that stressful late April, early May that he had, is he's showing his emotions a lot more.
Yeah.
And I love him allowing us that access to his stoic, reserved personality that he usually has. That first home run was electric. Pages was sitting there with the sunflower seeds ready to shower him, and from that moment forward, he was just locked in. That first inning, I love that you bring up that it wasn't perfect from a pitching standpoint.
Yeah,
21 pitches is not an ideal first inning.
No,
and the golden number of 100 pitches, getting us to the 7th inning, that immediately kind of got thrown out. So I wasn't sitting there worried, but I was sitting there like, okay, not the perfect first inning as a pitcher, but then they go back up to bat, and clearly they were locked in from the start. Hats off to Shohei, and hats off to him and Dave Roberts, clearly being on the same page. And I do not expect much change going forward. I think Shohei is back.
Yeah, I think what really, my favorite inning, and again, like this was a nail biter. Dodger fans might not agree with me here because you're like, why was this a favorite inning? I was like literally about to throw up on the edge of my seat. The 5th inning, okay? Because it wasn't perfect, and you really saw Shohei's baseball IQ on the mound.
Runners on first and third.
Runners
Right?
on first and third. Okay. And he had to be really smart about what he did in order to keep this a scoreless game. Okay. And he had a ball come right back to him. You got a runner at first, you got a runner at third. What he did is he looks at the runner at third, kind of holds him for a second, like he's going to throw him out if he tries to go home, then spins and throws out Castellanos at second base. And it saves a run. And the next big situation. So that was the first, like, that takes, that
Yeah.
takes guts. You got to be quick about it.
That's
It's a
IQ.
quick turn, look,
Mhm.
quick, get him out at second, because you don't want to miss getting an out.
Right.
You don't want to load the bases for Tatis. So the next situation, Tatis Jr. is up. They only have one out, and you're like, okay, this is
Not great.
he's been slumping, and maybe this is the time where he comes through and Tatis just blasts a home run. I really hope that's not the case.
Mhm.
But you're kind of looking at Ohtani, and I'm watching because, like you mentioned, Shohei wears his emotions on his face. Okay, you know exactly how he's feeling.
Mhm.
You know if he's excited, you know if he's frustrated. It's almost like a cartoon how like over exaggerated
Yeah.
he shows his emotions. I love it so much. I wish more athletes were like that because again, this is a game, you guys. It's their job. They're getting paid millions of dollars to do this, but it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It is entertainment for all the fans, and it's so much fun when you see and you feel the emotion. And Tatis, first pitch, got him to hit into a double play. And the emotion on Shohei Ohtani's face was just absolutely insane. Like he just went ham. It was like, looking at everybody else, like at that point, it was like, okay, we know that was it. But like the way that you held on in that inning saved the game. There were so many possibilities for the Padres to capitalize and get a run in. And this is the rubber match game. And this is a game that determines who is going to be first in the NL West because it has been a neck and neck race every single game for the last couple weeks between the Dodgers and the Padres. And we've been talking about the rivalry all week. But that moment with Shohei Ohtani in the fifth inning was everything. It was everything.
It really was. And it's proof that he's the heartbeat of this team because how you can tell who guys rally around is when something major happens for them. Are they celebrating from afar or do they run over and celebrate with him? Him screaming and throwing his arms. You see Mookie running the frame. You see Max Muncy running the frame. They're all celebrating with him and having his back. And I love that you bring up the momentum of it all because the biggest difference I saw from last night as opposed to game one where they lost 1-0, every time they got some kind of momentum in game one, Mookie gets thrown out stealing. Freddie gets caught stealing. Something would immediately crush that momentum. Whereas last night, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
When things looked like they were going south, when you got runners on first and third, twice Mookie Betts turns a double play. Twice Freddie Freeman gets up and fires off two doubles, even though he had a cold streak for most of the month of May. I love Shohei Ohtani. I love Mookie Betts. I love Freddie Freeman. Yeah, as a collective, even though this is a team of superstars, as a collective, when everything is gelling at the same time, I'm reminded, okay, this is Dodger baseball.
Yeah, and we have a moment for Freddie because we didn't fully dive into the situation that he was in coming into the game two. I'm like, what's today? Game two, right? Because he was like over
16, I think. Yeah.
Heading into that game, and he was sick. I think he said he had a fever. He wasn't feeling well. So his dad, you guys, his dad drove him to the game. His dad drove him to work. And we know the special moments and relationships that we've seen between Freddie Freeman and his dad. The iconic Grand Slam, Statue of Liberty in the postseason a couple of years ago immediately runs to his dad through the netting. It's just we know what family means to Freddie. And when his dad was there and he was slumping and then he gets 2 home runs yesterday, you're like, okay, that was what we needed to kind of turn things around. And then that was game 2. Game 3, the rubber match game for the Dodgers to win, was that 5th inning with Shohei Ohtani. And I want you guys to listen to this because the emotion was everywhere. Listen to this call.
Sure. That's the second one. Taking first two. And scores for Shohei Ohtani. Wow, he walked the high wire in this one and keeps the Padres off of the board.
Yeah, walking the high wire is a good, you're flirting with danger there with every single batter he faced.
The craziest thing that sounded like a home game. I had to remind myself because whenever I hear Joe Davis, I assume it's a home game, not always
the cheers in the background.
Yeah, just hearing hearing that crowd pop, I was like, oh yeah, they were in San Diego. Whoops.
Yeah, no, but we heard when we talked to Jose Mota,
Mhm.
who is obviously on the road with the Dodgers, a part of the Spanish broadcast for the
Mhm.
Dodgers. He told us that Padres were limiting area codes of where people could buy tickets. So Dodger fans could not buy and take over Petco Park because we've seen that in the past. Dodger fans run deep, they travel well, and obviously a lot of LA people and Dodger fans live down in San Diego. I went to San Diego State. There's a lot of LA people down there, and so they take over Petco Park.
Yes.
And so the Padres, to avoid that, limited where fans can buy tickets from based on their area code.
They're
which is-
petty, but not petty enough.
you know what? Not mad about it, because even though they did that, Jose said it still felt kind of like a 50-50 split between Padres fans and Dodgers fans. So that was a fun little gift of a team that we got from the Dodgers and the Padres. And my biggest takeaway from that, because when we were talking about the Freeway Series and what we saw with the Dodgers and Angels was, okay, the Dodgers are back. But then it was like, yeah, but can they keep this going against a real competitive team? And the real competitive team and the real test are their division rivals. And one of their biggest rivals right now in the National League, which are the Padres. Game 1, tough.
Mhm.
Tough. Bats just once again could not take advantage of runners in scoring position.
Right.
Game 2, Bats woke up. Again, wasn't a pretty win, but kind of did.
Long day for Sheehan, but the bullpen held their own. Yeah.
And then also like taking advantage of opportunity.
Offensively, absolutely.
Yeah. And then game 3 last night, Ohtani just absolutely, once again, back to being that two-way player that we all know and love, that is changing the game of baseball, like that is just creating his own legacy and his own history within Major League Baseball. So I guess now that we've seen, this is the first game this month that he's back to being like the two-way on days that he is pitching. Does this need to happen moving forward? Does he need to be hitting every time he's pitching now moving forward from what we saw yesterday?
I say yes. I look ahead at the schedule. You have a mean Brewers team who the Dodgers, due to timing, won't face their ace or their second best pitcher. So you're looking at that series saying, we may not be facing their best, but if we don't bring it, the Brewers are going to get they're going to get the best of you.
Yeah.
Then you have the Rockies. On paper, that should not be a difficult series. Then you got the Phillies. Phillies are always in the playoffs for a reason. Phillies have come alive since the change at the manager position. The Phillies are going to be no joke. Then you got the D-backs, the Angels, and the Pirates, the White Sox. And really, for the next 50 or so games until they face the Padres again, 30 or so games until they face the Padres again, games that should be manageable. I say that to say,
yeah,
for the
they should
first,
win.
yeah, for the first third of the season, they face the toughest series that they're going to face. So you let Shohei go out there and swing it, even if it gets cold again. You would rather. You would rather have him work through it. I feel like Dave Roberts had to make a decision because he knew the tough series that were lying ahead. Whereas when you have 30 games of teams that on a bad day you should be able to get through. Shohei, you're cold. It doesn't matter. This is what we're doing. Let's see what we got for the next 30 games. And this is what the schedule is going to be for the next month and a half.
Yeah, I think it's really great that they have an off day. You travel right after the game. So they should be in Milwaukee. The last series of this road trip before they're home to play the Rockies and the Phillies, as you mentioned. Ohtani is so hot right now. He is 13 for his last 24 at bats. And let's just relive that moment that started the game yesterday. Jump in on the first pitch of the game.
And here we go. First pitch from Randy Vasquez. He's swung on. Hit in the air to deep right center field. Merrill is got the wall. He will leave. He's gone. Home run for the Tony on the first pitch of the ball game.
I got to tell you, I love a leadoff home run because that just sets the tone.
It does.
For the entire game, especially when you're on the road. Because again, did you hear those cheers?
Pretty loud.
That sounded.
the Palantir. And let's keep moving. AMD, right? AMD, what do we have going on over here? When do we sling size on Sweet Green? Oh, geez, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I could get behind that one. Sweet Green. Talk to Chris if you're interested in that. AMD chart looks absolutely kick butt. It's 9/16, but it's also coming up on summer. Are the kids still in school? I remember going to school some years until like June 15, 16, mid-June. I guess they're probably still in school, but AMD, if the kids are at school, if not cover the ears, it looks kick-ass. This thing just looks phenomenal. I hate that it's gapping up this morning, unfortunately. So you're not gonna get that like 2-day breakout through the high on power momentum. And instead, it's probably a bit of a like, okay, let's look for the pullback gap fill reversal on AMD. If it screams up and over into blue sky territories, which it looks like it's on trajectory for, this thing's ripping pre-market, could just be brigade bolts over the all-time high. I mean, we're right there. Hop, skip, and a jump away from 470. I really don't want to see it break out on like a gap and go. I would prefer not, but what's the story here? I think it's pretty straightforward after NVIDIA's earnings call. All I'm going to say is Vera Rubin is not out yet. So let's keep going. Let's take a look at MU. What do we got going on with the Micron side of the equation? Looks good. I think this gap close is in play. It was really, I mean, it's been actually pretty tricky to trade. Look at this thing yesterday. Just kind of like opening drive. Hey, we're going to higher low. No, sorry, lower highs. Oh, look, we're going to break the bouncy. But no, look, we're higher. So if you want the cleaner of the two, obviously it's your SanDisk. And this thing was just up and away like a monster yesterday. In a picture perfect world, MU would have done the same, right? You would have gotten that opening drive, first pullback, and then continued higher lows, break your high of day and sign on them. Right? Nice knowing you. So MU just not. Options are a bit tough to wrap your brain around. The MUU levered ETF is expensive as all get go anyways. This is 550. I actually haven't really looked at the options on this MUU, but I imagine they don't trade much volume. Yeah, the open interest is non-existent. So, you can't even go out to the options here. Like you can kind of do that with a TSLL, for example. There's enough where if you really wanted to try options on TSLL, which is like complete rocket fuel, but you get the idea. MU just not really able to looks a little bit weaker. That's all I'll say about it. Right. So that is it. That's what we got on that one. Like I said, Intel, probably a decent watch as well. INTC. If you're interested over here, this is like AMD, going to be opening on a gap up. Go to the daily chart. Right. The thing I like about this is just a hammer. Look below and tail previous day below, looking for follow through. So that's it. That's what I got for you in today's episode and installation of the pre-market prep. Enjoy your Fridays. Remember, Friday rules because Friday rules, and we do ultimately have ourselves.
Siga ahí. Te digo una cosa, yo voy a aprovechar este cambio de sesgo y voy a comenzar a buscar oportunidades alcistas. El activo está haciendo picos y valles cada vez más altos, eso para mí es lo más importante y por ende para arriba. Y eso es algo que alguien podría hacer y es algo perfectamente comprensible. O sea, que alguien diga, voy a dejar un poco de lado los fundamentales, voy a comenzar a enfocarme en lo que técnicamente, disculpen, estoy observando aquí.
long hold for me though today, in a sense of are we bullish or bearish? If Nvidia does end up failing or stays weak like it was yesterday, then I am not that interested in longs. Nvidia has been a major catalyst in the trend of the market lately for months now, almost a year now, probably over a year at this point. And the reason for that is because NASDAQ is a weighted index, right? So because it's weighted, means it measures off of um, the market cap of these companies, right? So because Nvidia has such a strong market cap, $5.5 trillion in market cap, first company to break 5 trillion, $240 mark is $6 trillion market cap point. It weighs very heavy on the NASDAQ. So if Nvidia is dumping, there's a good chance that NASDAQ is dumping as well, or that NASDAQ is struggling, right? We've seen Apple continue higher while Nvidia struggled. It wasn't until Nvidia started to rally with Apple that NASDAQ was able to find that follow through too. Amazon is also a pretty strong company up there, nothing major like Apple or Microsoft. Meta also has a good hold, and Google and Nvidia have been the main two movers for the market. So those are the main two that I do like to keep an eye. Let's run through NASDAQ, delete any broken supply or demand, mark out our previous day high, our previous day low, our open price, and then of course we'll find the supply and demand with the gamma levels that we mentioned before. So the 3-hour time frame, and right off the bat, you see this 45 or this 15-minute on NASDAQ, I should say. That was resistance yesterday, resistance again. We broke it, we used it as support overnight already. 2-hour, but look at that, 2-hour does have that similar level that ES had. So we're going to delete some of these old zones. They're not relevant. We don't need them anymore. We move some levels up, delete some levels, whatever we want to do. So let's move. We have now our 2-hour supply down here. And what I'm also noticing with this move higher, guys, right, is we're chopping our way higher. But each time we chop our way higher, we're creating demand on our way up. So that tells me that we're not just buying here, but we're buying with actual support, right? And that's what we do want to see to help support the bulls and the buys. So 2-hour, make this green, demand. Now I don't think we're going to retrace towards 29,287. It's not impossible. It would call for though a 260 point pullback on the NASDAQ. Is it impossible? No. Is it probable? Not too much. So we'll keep an eye, we'll be patient. We'll see how markets want to play. It is Friday. We were waiting to see if this weekly candle that we're on, and I'll show you the weekly right now, wanted to give us the rejection. But would you look at that? The weekly is showing us that nope, this was just some profit taking. We might remain higher. If we scale above those all-time highs today, we are back in a super strong bull trend in the market. So that would be great. And again, markets are always forward-looking, so should we. But guess what? Today, if we can continue higher, we can continue bullish. Next week is going to bring a lot more strength with us too, right? So it's leading up.
These meals changed everything for me. I'll admit it. I was skeptical about ready-to-eat meals, but then I tried Factored, and after one bite, I was sold. Everything is fresh, flavorful, and honestly,
Dude, great. I can't yawn yet. Markets haven't opened yet.
I'm about to say, not better.
That's great.
Yeah, save that for the boring market.
Yeah, right? Markets haven't even started. I will delete this broken demand supply here. Not relevant. I did want to see if we had any new supply zones up here. I could even check the 6-hour and the 8-hour. I don't usually check those, but just to double check and make sure there's nothing that I'm missing, and I don't see anything. So we're cool on that end. This supply zone we already broke overnight. Part of me is like, let's just delete it. It was resistance yesterday. What we'll do is we'll fade it out, seeing that markets have started to disrespect the zone. What I mean by that is markets aren't recognizing it, right? So yesterday, look, we came into this zone and we rejected, right? Markets respected this area. Now today, overnight session at least, Markets acted like it wasn't even there. Chopped all around through it, chopped above it, chopped back below it. At this point, we whipped back above it again. So again, it's a bit more convincing that this is no longer a relevant zone. So we're gonna delete it, not marry a zone. See NASDAQ gamma levels now. And like we've been saying, we're gonna use bookmap to help verify some of the levels we're looking at. We also want to update our volume profile. We're on a 15-minute time frame. We're going to use our anchored volume profile at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be when our futures market opens. We're going to click that right there. And we see, look at this, guys. Same thing we've been seeing all week. What does this tell me? It tells me buy the lows and sell the highs. As much as we do want to be a buyer in these markets, the trade setups that have been playing out in the morning have been sweeps of highs, push back lower, sweeping lows, push back higher, sweeping. Look at this right in the morning, sweep higher, push lower, swept higher, swept higher, push lower, swept higher. It's been the pattern of the market this week, right? Other than Monday, but we don't care about Monday. Yo, good morning, Kevin. What's going on, bro? Let's see. So this is looking pretty solid. I definitely like this where possible. I'd like to see markets push lower first. We'd want to see markets push lower first. If we get some type of entry off of the open price and possibly a gamma exposure level, and then the low volume, so I'll look for the reversal back higher. First take profit will be VWAP. Second take profit will be whatever combo level or gamma level we have in store for us. Speaking of combo and gamma, let's mark those out on NASDAQ. We have about 2 minutes for markets to open. I've been back and I got to get this going. 29,297, 29,297, 29,297. Is that like way below us? I feel like that's way below us. That is way below us. Not interested. That's our call wall stuff. Call wall. Call wall. Next one. Okay. What else we got? 297, 307. That's like right near there. Not interested in 307. 29689. Combo 3. 29689. All the way up there. You telling me that we don't have any gamma levels in this whole range right now? 307 to 300, over 380 point range within gamma level to gamma. Gamma level to gamma level. Right? Yep, 380, 390. So it's a pretty wide range, right? Same situation though. We don't need a gamma level to enter a trade. It's just there to help give us extra confirmation, give us some clarity. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Are these levels possible reversal or continuation? So good question, Victoria. Usually these levels act as reversal levels. So these will be areas that we look for. Okay, can we sweep pre-market high right here and then reverse back lower off the combo level 2? That could be a possible trade setup right there. So that would be something I would consider. Markets open in right now. Markets are open right now. Let's see how we want to play out. I do want to be extra patient on any type of short condition today, but I'm not completely against it. I would rather see markets move lower off the open and then find some buyers near the lows. Check ES, check NASDAQ. ES had this area, which is much closer, much relatively closer than the NASDAQ's area. So this could also give us some insight, right? Good morning, everybody. Adrian, what's going on? Alex, the Laker, what's poppin'? The Lakers out in the first round. I'm just kidding. Donut, what's going on, Mr. Donut? I hope you're doing well, man. I think this was your first week here with the community. I hope you've been enjoying it. I know sometimes these streams get a little advanced, right? We try to make sure we cover everything, right? So order flow is extremely important when it comes to trading because it gives us almost like X-ray vision of what's going on volume-wise in the market. If you're just using trading view charts, the only volume analysis you're getting is the subgraph volume. That's down over here. And this volume is only barely helpful. This volume tells you how much volume was traded on each particular candle. It does not tell you how much volume was traded at each price level, and it also doesn't tell you if it was bullish or bearish volume. Do not get confused on TradingView you see how there's red bars and then green bars? So the red bars does not mean it's selling volume. The red bar just means that it was a red candle. So that's the only difference there that you have to know. NASDAQ trying to move higher here. Again, I said we're going to be a little patient if we do come up near the highs first. But again, recognizing the general trend of the market, it has been more of a breakout, fail, try to break down, fail back higher again. Right now, ES is trying to continue higher. And look at this great, significant low volume shelf we have between 96 and 501. Remember, I mentioned that earlier, 501 to 96. So I am going to use the long position tool to mark this area out, 501 towards 96. And this can be a possible trade setup that we take today on the S&P 500. For possible longs, you would take it on either MEF, ES, or you would also possibly look to take it if you're trading options, SPY calls, right? If we're going long on ES, we would want to buy SPY calls. That's good. I don't know how to read that chart. That's the right. What's up, Doc? Some people here in the TikTok as well. So right now, guys, Mondays and Fridays, we go live to the TikTok and YouTube community as well, just to give them a bit of an example of what we do here at the Bullish Bears community, giving you guys some insights, giving you guys some knowledge. And every day, it's not about, oh, copy my trade and make some money. It's about actually learning how markets move and gaining some proper insights that you could put into your trading system to gain that edge. S&P continuing higher. This is exactly what I wanted to see. I want to see strong buying at these highs. So when we do return to this low volume shelf, this inefficiency, we're able to look for our long entry with some confidence. S&P, we had that call wall up here, so that could be our possible price target. I don't think I'm going to be taking it off of this just random pullback just yet. We will give it a little time. NASDAQ was pulling higher near that area. Remember that is our pre-market high up there, 29,665. Doing well, thank you. Lots to learn. Yeah, you got it, man. Absolutely. Quick little rundown, guys, of just the basics of bookmap. So when you see large sell bubbles, that's aggressive selling volume. When you see strong big buy bubbles, that's aggressive buying volume, right? Seems simple enough. But there is a little more to it, right? When we see a large seller and price reverses, that tells us the buying volume outweighed the selling, and we were able to move higher from there. Look at that. We came into this inefficiency, and we're starting to hold. I did not get my entry yet. We're going to let this 5-minute close. I'd much rather sort of use my time frame analysis along with the volume analysis, right? So if we could get a strong 5-minute candle bullish right here, and we do have that inefficiency to the downside, then on the next candle, I will look for us to try to dump and hold support and look to take those long. What's up, Bell? TW, good morning. Vincent, Tony, hello. Ryan, what's going on? Paulto, good morning. Did the red bubble turn green because of it? So the red bubble, right? So that's sort of like I was mentioning, red bubble versus green bubble. If a bubble's starting to form, so you see this one right here, it was starting to form green, and then sellers tried to take over, it formed red, and then it formed green again. So it's in clusters, right? So volume can remain strong, volume remains bullish, it'll show big green bubbles. If there's a bit of a disagreement, like a fight in markets, then we're gonna see more right now, same thing. I want to see us dive towards this 7,500 area. I will look for some long 7,500. Stops near 7,596. That would be near the bottom of this low volume area. Lots of people were buying. Yes, a lot of people are buying right now. Another tool and portion of bookmap that we can use to see if it's buying or selling is called the CVD. That's our cumulative volume delta. That tells us the total cumulative volume for that day. Has it been bullish or has it been bearish? So right now it's a positive CVD. So that tells me all of the volume today so far has been bullish. What's up, Jaleel? What's up, Marziti? Good morning.
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 Happy, cheerful, happy, and ready to run
Well,
the sun.
Sunshine and unicorns, baby, you know it. All right, looking for the 7,500. Something else we like to look for. So the reason that I like to use these low volume shelves and is because we see them as inefficiencies, right? We see them as imbalances. Whereas most of the market is going to have high volume. These low volume shelves, they're not there because nobody was interested in price at that point. They're there because price moved so quickly, the volume that was sitting there did not get the opportunity to get filled. So because, let's say, for example, this 182 right here, this 182 really had 1,000 lots. Well, if that's the case, once we dip back into that 182 portion and all of those orders start to try to get filled, guess what's going to happen? Markets are going to react. So that's the idea behind these inefficiencies. My apologies. So what exactly do you look for in Bookmap compared to Trade-1? Yeah, I got you. So exactly what I just said about the volume profile and inefficiencies, and it really does give you more insight versus TradingView. TradingView is just the candles. Bookmap, you could turn candles on if you wanted. I would definitely recommend not to. Their candles sort of overlap each other, aren't the most smooth of price action. But Bookmap is much cleaner. A line chart with patterns of volume. So it's really more of a volume-based tool, which again gives us that insight. So right here, we have a passive seller right here on ES that we broke it. Same with NASDAQ. Remember NASDAQ, we were looking for possible shorts here. Now, I'm not going to take that because equities are rallying right now. Apple is higher, Microsoft is higher, Meta is high. Nvidia's trying to hold this 220 area. Google's trying to hold, Amazon's holding. This is all very significantly bullish reasoning for the market. So we're not going to take it on a short up here. Now, again, hindsight, right? You could be like, oh, well, we should have took it once it tapped the 7,500 on that first 5 minute. Not part of my plan. So I'm not going to take it. We're not going to force anything. It is so important that we remember we're not just traders, we're risk managers, and we are our own boss when it comes to trading, right? You create a system, you follow the system, and you make sure that, okay, if I take a stop loss, I get stopped out. It is what it is. On to the next trade. I appreciate the follow. Yes, sir, guys. Make sure you follow and subscribe and like and all that fun stuff here if you're here on YouTube or TikTok. Absolutely. We go live Monday through Friday for our community here at Bullish Bears. We got a private Discord community. Tons of great people, like-minded folks. It's a great place to be when you're learning to trade. You should never try to learn to trade alone. I've done it. I think a lot of people have at least at some point tried to learn to trade alone, and you'll probably get the same answer from everybody. You're just going to spin your wheels. You're not going to find the consistency you're looking for. You're going to go to YouTube video to YouTube video to YouTube video and go nowhere fast, right? You want to be able to find a community that you're comfortable with, that offers something like we do with the live trading every day, that you're able to ask questions, it's interactive, versus jumping on a YouTube video, getting a little bit of information there. And if you have a question, you got to ask in the comments. And if they don't answer, you're crap out of luck, or you got to jump onto another YouTube video and hope that they don't explain it differently, right? So there's so many different aspects and really different reasons and better benefits to join the community when starting to trade versus trying to do it alone. You also have to think from another standpoint. Doctors, right? We always come back to the whole doctor perspective. Doctors don't just go to school on their own and then they're suddenly doctors. They go to school for years on years on years. They pay their education, they pay their tuition. And then what happens? They have to do residency. They have to follow somebody, right? Follow somebody. That will help you. How to take a trade using Bookmap and your strategy. Yeah, so exactly what I was saying before about this low volume, right? So I like to use volume profile along with the volume analysis of the order flow and bubbles. So something else to note, you see right over here, our ask was 80. So you see where it says ask 81 at 75.10. Well, this volume that came in was 624. That's way more significant. Okay, well, guess what? That was what gave us the breakout. If the volume was less than the ask, then we would have rejected this area. So here's another significant low volume shelf on the S&P 500 right here. Am I interested in taking this tiny position? We had good momentum today, but I am thinking we want to try to pull back. But look at this imbalance, this 08 right here. Stops would be around 07. It's like a 1 point stop loss on that. We almost try it to see if it does want to hold, but I don't want to be jumping in just to get stopped out. If we do end up back above the let's see, we'll try it lightly here. Stops around this 07. So about a 2-3 point stop loss on ES. I like the momentum we've had today, and I also like that there was a big buyer sitting at this level. So if we could get back above where this, you see this big sell bubble, this is another thing you can use with Bookmap. A big seller came in at our volume imbalance, and then price reversed on them. You can take it long on the reversal, stops at the low we just created, looking for these sellers to be trapped, right? And this also gives you the opportunity to take that trade with a very small stop loss. And that also gives you a better benefit because now you're looking at a higher risk reward trade. See, that's a little sweep through, that's fine. Let's see, there's some sweeps. We always want to see, that's the sweep indicator right there on Bookmap. So the sweep indicator, look at that, we're getting some volatility here. Do we want to get a pullback towards 7,500? Let's see. Look at that, a lot of volume kicking in. 942, so this isn't any economic data or anything like that. I do believe we have Michigan sentiment, consumer sentiment today?
I know.
Okay, gotcha. From the big red bubbles, should you be buying or selling? So great question. So usually the big red bubbles will be selling, right? So we would want to sell with sellers, we would want to buy with buyers, but it's all, remember, context is key in the market.
Guys, if you're still balding in 2026, what are you doing? There's an easy solution. It doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars. It doesn't involve surgery or weird shampoos. It's a once a day
NASDAQ. See if NASDAQ has any significant. Here we go. Possible low volume area right here. Pull back to 57. Where's 57? Right up here. And same deal. We can let the 5 close, see if it closes bearish. If it doesn't, no trade. We were overall looking for buyers. We did just hit this fair value gap on ES here, right? In this fair value area. Now remember, guys, I'm hoping to see a strong rally today because I want next week to have that follow through. Today is Friday, so it is going to give us a little bit of insight into if we are, yes, going to have that follow through or not. NASDAQ in that low volume area, trying to reject. Equity is seeing a little bit of a pullback here. And don't forget too, guys, check your other time frames. 15-minute time frame closes in 30 seconds here.
Signet said something interesting this morning in his morning briefing. He said that Kevin Walsh is getting sworn in today, and traditionally, it's a bad thing for the market.
Yeah.
Every time the new Fed chair gets sworn in, the market comes up. Hey. That's but chart by contact. But it is something kind of keep in the back of the mind.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I want the sellers try to hold on NASDAQ here. Like you said, we've been seeing a push higher and then a reversal lately. So can we hold this lower volume area and try to see more of a significant sell-off? A bit of a volume imbalance here too. We give it a chance. What it wants to do. Remember, again, overall a bit more bullish of market. A bit more bullish of market. There we go. NVIDIA's getting pretty weak. Weighted index is at VWAP, which would be support though, so be a little careful there. Look at that though, these buyers are not giving up. Yes, trying to hold too. NVIDIA pretty weak here though. I want to see NVIDIA start to dump to bring NASDAQ low. No, so the Discord's not free. Discord, we do have a monthly though. You could always try on the monthly and see how you like it because it's more on the education side. You check that out at flipbears.com. If you do use discount code BBKEV, it will save you 20% off on the education portion too though. So it looks like we are going to try to break it towards that 75. And I'd rather see sellers bring us back lower off of this gamma and combo level up here. But just be patient, man. We're really not getting anything consistent. Buyers are trying their best to break it out of this zone. Sellers are trying their best to bring it lower. Microsoft's moving higher, Amazon moving higher, Nvidia's moving lower, Google is struggling, right? So we have a battle going on in the markets right here. Here we go. Come on, sellers. You are looking to take a short position. Your stop would be above that low volume imbalance. And if you are taking a short position, I would definitely recommend taking it on some micros. Wide ATR, wide range today. But also use Bookmap to see, do we have any passive buyers or sellers anywhere? And I do note we do have passive sellers at 29,750. So that might be a price target to the upside here. Let's see. Anything?
Look at Nvidia.
Yeah, it's dumping right now. Good call. Good call.
Yeah, it's climbing as well.
Yep, VIX trying to climb, Nvidia trying to dump. These are bearish catalysts. Google also getting weak here on the 5-minute. That's a great sign. Definitely a bit more interested on the shorts off NASDAQ, this low volume area, than longs at the moment, right? So remember, biases can always flip for day traders. We're looking for these intraday movements with good confirmation. There we go. Drop on Nvidia. That should help NASDAQ start to sell off here. First take profit could be VWAP. And stop loss is going to be around the 75 area. See how we're getting selling bubble towards the bottom? So that tells me sellers are trying to accept the price at lower levels. We want to see if that has any follow through. We do still have that positive CVD on ES. Look at the CVD though on NASDAQ, trying to break towards the negative side. Great, there we go. Get some selling pressure. Let's get going now. Nice, nice. Minute or two left. That's what I want to see. I want to see just a minute left in this 5 minutes so we can see some follow through here. I don't want to see price reverse on the seller yet. Nice. There we go.
Low volume area.
Yeah, we are. Yep, we're approaching a low volume area. This is a fair value gap too right here. So just be a little careful. A lot of people are going to be looking for long positions in here retail wise. But even once you take profits down here, what's that?
Yeah, sorry. Just thinking we could range back up to that 66, 670 area in Q.
Yeah, very possibly.
Off that one.
Very possibly. You want to stop towards like 64 now. If you are in a short position, keeping it right at this high that we were just at 66. 2 seconds left. I wanted to see more follow through on this candle to the downside. I'm not a fan of it trying to hold on this fair value gap, but I do like NASDAQ getting weak. Nvidia's weak. Google weak. VIX is trying to move higher. Definitely more catalyst to the downside than upside for the time being. And I'm going to keep stops at 66.3. I'm really not a fan of the reaction to this low volume area we're at here. ES coming. Here we go now. Get rolling. Get rolling. Nice. Nice. There we go. Beautiful. Let's break this fair value gap. Let's break below 29,578. Let's stop this fair value gap trader there. Beautiful. Let's go. Let's go. There we go. Nice. 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 W's. 4 minutes left in this 5 minute. Nice drop.
Just keep getting wrecked here.
That would be great. Oh my goodness, we're trying. Coming up near VWAP 2 here. Look at this. Great drop. Great sell position. Beautiful. Beautiful. Keep going, NASDAQ. Keep going. And let's even exit here into strength, right? Let's see. I'll probably look to close this out soon. We get one more drop here. Definitely not a fan of buyers trying to come in at this low volume area. Nvidia trying to hold its previous day low too. Looking for one more drop to get out. I want people that just try to go long down here. I want them to get stopped out before we continue. I'm moving to take profits of VWAP. I want to see a quick wick below this fair value gap area. We got 3 minutes left on the 5 minute. Ooh, equity started to dump. I am moving to take profit for a moment here. Amazon dumping, Microsoft dumping, Meta dumping, Google dumping. Moving to take profit, trying to let this winner run for a moment. If we don't break that low again, though, I will be a little concerned. I almost want to move my stop loss to that 17. I am going to move stop loss to 17 here. So if we do start reversing, I'm just right out into profit. If we continue, we're letting our winner run. Come on, break that low, break that low. Boo. Boo. Let's see. So close, so close. I definitely don't like that we're dancing on this area down here, but I also like that we're not getting that super quick reaction back to the upside. It tells me sellers are still accepting price at lower levels here. We have a negative CVD again, minute 47 left in this 5 minute. Decreasing candles to the downside, all for that combo level. ES did just hit that 78,500 that we were looking to buy, though. I am going to close out NASDAQ. Close it out NASDAQ shorts there, guys.
The cool core, that was the one the Gex level, wasn't
it? 29.6 over
there. Yeah, it's up near it.
I don't think so. I think the Gex levels were really wide on NASDAQ today.
Hey, yeah, okay, never mind. That was one of my middle. Okay.
Gotcha. Yes, man, right off of that. Look at that, right off of that 7,500 area. Do not think that one. Yeah, you stay a little bit. These buyers stepping in. Definitely happy on the exit of NASDAQ so far. 48 seconds left, and I'm saying that now, but watch it just dump for the next 48 seconds. Nvidia flips back full. Most equities are trying to turn back around. I'm happy on the exit right now. What's up, Victoria? Good morning. Greg, Garrett, good morning, guys. How are you? Well, what's going on? Got any questions? Please feel free to let me know. Emily, hello. Hey, good morning. Preston, stop down, brother. How are you? 9 seconds left on this 5 minute. Just leaving it alone right now. Solid exit, solid exit. Got out around room, get out. Got out at 10. Like 09. Nothing crazy of a trade, risk reward wise. VIX trying to move back lower slightly, which would be bullish. I do want to pay a bit more attention to ES at this point. See if we want to find support in the volume shelf 7,500. Stops around, like I mentioned earlier, 95, 96-ish. Well, that seller's continuing. Like I said, it was a nice exit for now, but who knows? We could just keep dropping. Weighted index still bearish. Sup, Lucian? Good morning, good morning. Lululemon Lucian. What's going on? What's going on? Ozzy, good morning. JW, good morning.
Consumer sentiment coming up in about 3.5 minutes. Again, it's a final, not a flag, so it don't expect as much. But we'll see what happens.
Good call, Marziti. Yep, we do have, what was it, Michigan Consumer Sentiment Finals, 10 o'clock. We're gonna get some news, a little bit of an impulse move. What's up, Danny? Yep, you Michigan, yes, sir. Danny going to new highs. Danny thinks we're going to new highs from here. Let's see. I think we got some unfinished business to take care of to the downside first. Stop out a lot of buyers, a lot of retail market participants, and then boom, right in their face to the upside.
5-minute candle, we did wait five, so remember, that's when you're talking. We done and have, looks like a fan line around 700, maybe. Yeah. And rejected off that. So we are right now in a chop zone. So we can scalp it or wait at this point. Upside 75.12. Downside target is pivot point 7,500, which is pivot point 01. Now, you have that old thing about if you hit all one in the morning, F2,
NVIDIA new low in day.
let's see, here was the lowest day for the
NASDAQ finding some selling here.
whole day would be 74.56.
Come on, get that drop going with NVIDIA selling off NASDAQ if you want to. I want you to jump on NASDAQ, but I also don't want to see it break the opening range breakout low. But NVIDIA is still trying to push lower. Google was trying to push higher. Microsoft pushing lower. Rest of the equity is sort of at that 50-50 phase. So be patient, be careful.
Well, it looks like we're rejecting the midline of the 5-minute Bollinger Band. So if that is the case, the upside target 75.12 is more in line. The value area is up at 75.14. But again, we're only intraday beat talking. This is a chop zone. So unless you really got a strategy here, most people will tell you just wait till we move away to that. But at this point, we're looking at our moving averages and the like are bullish. VWAP is moving up with us. So
news in 20 seconds. Be a little patient. They're pulling. Bookmap, you see how Bookmap, the spread is getting darker over here, the black, how it's like almost black, it means they're pulling orders off the book, right? So whenever we get some type of news event or something of economic data, this happens, right? Institutions are not looking to get filled on some type of crazy volatility that kicks in. 2 seconds, 1 second. It would be great if we could drop first and then find some buys in that area that we were looking at on ES of 7,500. That would be ideally what I'm looking for. We are getting a little bit of a drop. Let's also check to see how that data actually came out. Lower than expected? Yeah, lower than expected. Of course it's lower than expected, and inflation's out the wazoo. Let's see how we react. Can we break into the 7,500? I want to see either a sweep indicator get notified, or I want to see a large seller come in and have price reverse on that large seller. When that happens, that will be my signal to enter. Guys from Bookmap are great. Yeah, guys from Bookmap are awesome. We got Bruce.
I don't know if Tom B over in Bookmap is still active, but
there we go.
If you want to learn about auction market theory, he's a great guy to learn that. All right, we can punch through all one. We're at a fan line right now. The hardest south of the article is south 74.95 is rewind.
All right, and some
Hey, look at the NQ where he stole it.
Post your ROI worries. Ooh, spend smarter. Snapchat ads.
29 where? 530?
Yeah, in that area. In that.
Gotcha. I'm gonna
Wasn't that the low end?
Well, the low one was all the way at like 300, like 297.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. You're good. Drop here on ES. Let's see. There's still that volume, low volume area. So I'm still looking for some type of reversal and retrace of this level. NASDAQ did continue lower. That's great. Like I said earlier, we were happy on the exit, and then what happened? It continued anyways. NVIDIA definitely helping things move lower. All equities are leaning a bit more bearish right now.
Yeah, that's VWAP 74.95 and we're gonna tag it and sure me.
Nice drop on NASDAQ there. Good continuation. We have a lot of weakness in equity. So if you are looking for scalps, yep, NASDAQ is going to be the way to go. Let's see. Remember, ES, we were looking for 74.80. We were looking for 74.80 on ES today. So let's wait and see how that wants to play out. We have a lot of selling pressure on our weighted index here. VIX is in a range. You're trying to move higher. Again, is more bearish. Yep, VWAP. Back to VWAP. Yeah, we ended up hitting VWAP. A good price target on NAS.
So now on the ES, take a look at the 935 candle. If you're trying to understand liquidity, there's your liquidity below that 935 candle. Because that was before the flood. And not so much that it's for flood, but it is the most significant flood that is notable near. So we break that 74.91. That's where we start looking for liquidity. Grab it, go back north, or we either reject it violently or we just scoop it up and just gradually continue going back down. So watch for a chop when we hit that 94, 74.91.
Yes, trying to hold some passive buyers down here. We did have the sweep of the opening range breakout on NAS to the downside. ES trying to hold, did not break the low of ES's opening range breakout here. Not yet. Yesterday we had a double break trade setup play out. You guys remember that? So we'll see if that trade setup wants to occur today as well. NVIDIA moving lower. NVIDIA is at 216. That's wild. It was at 238 just a few days ago. Microsoft moving lower. Maybe these sellers might want to take it down another notch here. Let's see. I'll let you guys know if I see any good entries or setups. Possibly the breakdown and retest of this 96 over here for NASDAQ. You're like 96.
ES band line at 74.93. Tagged it once and rejected. We break that, then I'd say we're going back to the prior day.
There we go. Keep dumping the NVIDIA. Keep dumping.
74. Yeah.
Weighted index getting weak. I think NASDAQ finds some continuation here. We have sellers at the lows. If we get below this low again, which had sweeps, we should be clear for a breakdown. Buyers trying their best to protect lows, but sellers have control the past about 15-20 minutes now. Let's go. Give us that drop. Give us that drop. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's go, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey.
Atmosphere a high of 74.86, which is also another fan line. And we have on the 5 minute a Faraday gap that we just barely cut over to it. That Faraday gap goes down to 482. But up at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, I'm looking for probably some sideways action here for a little bit. Gain momentum to continue to down trend.
All right, let's see. Microsoft's continuing trend lower, Nvidia continuing trend lower. Weighted index has been continuing trend lower. We really only stalled out for a couple minutes there, about 10 minutes leading up into the economic news. Since then, we did have some continuation. Clearly, sellers have some control in the markets right now, just for now. And as day traders, it's important we recognize who has control at this time, and can we profit from who has control in this time. If we see sellers have control and we're sort of chopping our way lower, we're struggling, then sure, maybe we won't have a proper setup and we want to be a bit more patient for the long setup, right? But let's say we do see strong selling momentum, we're able to catch it. We say, okay, Nvidia's dropping here. We're on a pullback on NASDAQ. I'm going to take it here with my stop loss at the recent seller.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I loud? Am I clear? Is anybody out there? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be live in just 9 minutes and 35 seconds, breaking it all down. The gold and silver news, and boy, is it a doozy. We're going to be seeing the markets open back up. Shanghai Futures Exchange versus the COMEX. You're going to see the stock market. Silver has fought all night. Gold has fought all night. What will happen today? Smash that like button, sit back, enjoy the stream. Guys, we're so close to 100 likes. Keep smashing it. I just put the tweet out on X. If you could go retweet that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be live here in just 9 minutes. Buckle up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to be live in just 7 minutes and 55 seconds, breaking down all the gold and silver news. We're going to watch the COMEX open back up, the Shanghai Future Exchange, and the stock market. Smash the like button if you're ready. Share the stream. We're so close to 100 likes. Who's ready? Who's stacking silver? Who's stacking gold? Is anybody out there stacking claws? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to be live in just 7 minutes flat. Covering it all. Smash the like button, grab a beverage, sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. We're about to be covering all the breaking gold and silver news overnight. Today starts the new regime in the Federal Reserve. Banks are stacking gold across the world as normal fiat system currencies are breaking down. Are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be celebrating with me in the streets? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still stacking, put still stacking in chat. We're going to be live in just 6 minutes and 10 seconds, breaking it all down, the gold and silver news, helping you read the tea leaves. It's about to be major. Let's go. Who's ready? Who's unshaken? Who has intestinal fortitude? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be live in just 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Please tap, smash, roundhouse, kick that head button. The head button, the like button. But you could headbutt it if you want. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Chasing that metal, going and where to find treasure hunting, one of a kind. Join the crew, let's explore. Ladies and gentlemen, please report in the chat if you're here and present and accounted for and ready to go to battle against the big bankers. Figuratively. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be
At YoPlay, we always select the best strawberries. Perfectly ripe. That's why our yogurt is so good. YoPlay, America's favorite strawberry yogurt.
For your younger looking skin, just one tube with the UK's #1 dermatological face serum.
Again, if they get above the 6 on the NASDAQ, I think the bearish moves over. So we'll see what that does. But I think it'd be cool to have caveats like that in there. Because obviously the big caveat, what happened? We knifed on Michigan consumer sentiment, despite bullish setups in the options market. So that would be a good caveat to have in Mr. Whale. But I'm just happy market side's working. This is pretty dope. It even gives the full inflection points at each 5 minute interval here for it. And I want to point out, none of this was asked for. All the person did here, the dev playing with it, tell me about the market tide today. That's all it told Mr. Whale to do. And Mr. Whale gave all these breakdowns along with caveats of market tide itself. I cannot stop being impressed by Mr. Whale. I harped on it on Monday. I harped on it on Wednesday. I'm an LLM hater. I'm not a big fan of all the AI shit going down. But Mr. Whale is so cool. I even think I'm gonna start incorporating it into my workflow. And Anthony knows damn well how hesitant I am to add shit to my workflow. Like I find what I like and then I hyperfixate on it with the power of 1,000 autisms. Which I have, and I do fixate. All right, they stopped me out. Right here, right now is the last chance for me to be comfortable shorting and do it. We lost about $50 on that. If this bounces up through on this 1 minute candle and makes a higher high, I think that bullish drop is pretty much done for. We'll keep an eye on it. All right, let's look at rig. What's Mr. Well have to say about rig?
So I posted that here and just again kind of I read on it again. It's almost filling in the mid here, and then it does fill the mid there. So I mean, it's not a super clear read, but Mr. Whale kind of agrees a little bit. So they read it more likely as a seller working the order than an aggressive put buyer there, which they were coming in the mid. We kind of lean that way already when it's coming in most of the bid. So 1,000 prints at the time, pulling in total 10,000 my rate. If it's almost mid, then later clustered in the bid, that usually leads towards liquidity, taking color, possibly sell the open puts, sell the close from it. In order, we know it's not a sell close because it's an opening trade there.
Quick interruption.
For put specific,
I'm probably going to take this off if they bounce here because they did the same thing on a different inflection point closer. Let's see if they get a new 1 minute low. If they don't, they're holding higher lows on this trail upward. I'm going to take my $60. We are break even on the day. But I just want to real quick why. Here's where they bounced, just like earlier, off the top of the last rejection point on the come up. The range is getting tighter, so I can see this flush or skyrocket. I don't want to be in either side for fear of the other, but still have that negative gamma zone around here to deal with. I'll take baby scalps like that. We are break even on the day. 1-1, lost one. All right, back to rig. And we're right at the bottom of that negative gamma zone. Like it could bounce really hard here. I'm not going to risk it. Could, not will.
Yeah, I
don't just enter trades because I said that. Don't shadow trade us at all. There's a delay between what I say and when you see it.
Yeah, I'm probably hands off. I don't like that upside gamma falling off there either. I
like to
think
build up
we're gonna
below
kind of chop. Yeah,
like that.
yeah, of course you do, Mister.
Yeah,
of course you do. Am I surprised? No. So okay, yeah, back to here too. So like again, it gives you the information about the context of the flow that came in. Which is, I love that too. I mean, this is great for like if you're a beginner to the platform and you got questions. Like once we're done here, just to see what Mr. Whale says, I want to ask it, why does that bid ask change there too? So let's see. So, okay, and then we talked about that. We know they're not selling to close that because it's an opener there. So, and I'm happy. I'm really happy to put this in here. So my bottom line, likely put selling, probably opening, well, it is opening, which is generally bullish to neutral. I'm happy they put that neutral in there just because we always talk about, that price doesn't have to move a single cent and that whale can collect profit. So I do want to ask it here when we're here on that. Okay. Why did that bid ask change from 36 48 to 48, 141. Yeah, I just want to do it for that. I want to pull that information.
Me too, because the only thing we would have directly about that upside is the articles about the national best bid. Yeah, baby, let's go, Mr. Whale. What a G.
So you're seeing the same the market makes update the first 38. So they at date 48 bid rolls their fixed that I made 12 as well. Usually one or more of these market makers liquidity, blah blah or trade being targeted mid, then bid does not automatically set the change mid order, which is nice to know. Again, so with us kind of looking at it there, it's kind of that midfield to begin with, and then it turns to that midfield, kind of like we were saying there. Let's see if they're in a bit of means buyers and market capable to pay for. Okay, so yeah, exactly what we kind of talk about usually. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about that? It's starting kind of with the mid there, and then I'd probably lean sell the open there. They are 11% off the money. I don't. Yeah, I mean, long dated there. I'm not a big fan of the long dated premium cells unless they're like super far out of the money. You know, especially if they overlap earnings, you just gotta be a little cautious. But yeah, I would lean sell open easily if you maybe pick it there. And I'm just kind of looking at the premium tier too. Yeah, there's not much for premium wise here. What is the oh here? So these are 821. Get out that there. I mean, it's about a 14% plus minus there. I mean, at least through mid July. So, it's
All right, real quick.
be cautious.
Right after I took profit, I got back in. We are now up 270 on this account. And I'm done for now. There's no reason to
drop it.
We had a good day with this prop account this week. We had a good day this week. Jesus Christ. We had 2 good days, Monday and Wednesday. We're green on the day today. I'm not gonna push my luck. I still like the exact same range setup. We can get a new low here, but there's still the same supports from the pre-market session that I would be keeping an eye on for a really fine bounce. No complaints. No complaints. A winning day is a winning day. And we're doing a chill stream today. I'm not even telling people we're live. We just went live.
Well, I'm finding something so fun. Yeah, I'm Mr. OCD here that I was kind of telling you. I like to kind of be better place things up.
Yeah, we are, Joe. You're right. Right at yesterday's high. Wait, if y'all recall, right at the open, we opened up like 0.5% on the SPX, and it went almost back to 1% for that data drop next to us. Appreciate you being here, week. Even Hernando recipe. Anytime you have typos like that, it almost looks like a slur. Like it just looks like an awful word somehow.
just gonna get us banned on YouTube.
But yeah, those just joining, wondering why we don't have cams on. I'll put them on here and there, but I'm having hardware issues and Anthony's having internet issues. So we're just being the laziest episode today. Yeah, Joe, also let's slot you in for next week. I'm having enough issues with my shit and Anthony's shit that I don't want to rope a third person into it to add more issues. But same shit, Joe, anytime you want, unless I have a scheduled thing, you're welcome to join us mid-roll. We don't care. For those who don't know what Joe named, hanging out on Twitter chat. He's another UW affiliate, and he's a damn good trader.
Yeah, we gotta have have another person make fun of Tucker. I was talking that.
That's also true.
All right, let's see what we got for SoFi here. Mr. Whale's doing me a little.
They did.
Okay, let's see. Oh, did they?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me the specific contract.
Look at the. It did not flag the one they asked. Ask it if there's anything interesting in the last 2 weeks on the $21 call for August 21st. Your Mr. Whale isn't slow, really, despite your dog shit internet situation.
Yeah,
Right, Mr. Whale. I see you. Yeah.
So is this it is one has a request on any of these? Oh, it's just 21. Oh, geez, man.
What do you do, bro?
I don't know. I
so many contracts.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh, dude, that all.
I was like, what is it? Yeah, it did.
We did. What you want? The easiest, lowest stress environment. Now look at the options. The options start to rip. You're gonna have an entry back up to 720 on NASDAQ. Let it squeeze. Buy some options back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now that we dipped, wait for the volume and still the good news. Yeah. Wait for Trump tweet, baby. But that's the beautiful thing about longing this stuff is that if you could take a nice, decently positioned long and you do get a tweet, you're gonna get an instant 100 points plus on profit. So it's great. I know you suggest reading the price analyst book. Is there anything else that helped you build your trading strategy and stay consistent? I've kind of told the story about how I had a little come to Jesus about trading because I was not someone who wanted to sit in a cubicle the rest of my life. I remember I pass it anytime I drive into the city. I pass the exact spot where I had the moment in mind where I did not want to be killed. I didn't want to be a sheep. I was you're going to get blown out. If you're trading here 30 times a day, you're never going to find consistency. And that's all there is to it, is that you've got to be able to pull things back and step away from the markets and take your profits. I'm at that point. I've been for a while. I work in energy utility and just now it's converting. I'm ready to get the heck out. Yep.
And of course, I've done other stuff too. There, I've had a lot of other ventures, and I was hungry, man. I did not want to stay in that position, so of course I wanted to. I ended up net losing money on that endeavor, but it was a huge learning experience. I got into real estate. So everything I did was try to move the needle. I was never satisfied with growing. tried to find it once. Yeah, just if I had the more resources, I would try to find it, but it's not easy. Ranger 4-cylinder manual is top 3 greatest vehicles in history. Yeah, I love it. Got a subwoofer in the back of it. The boys in the back. I love it. 87 F-150 short bed 302. Still in the family, kind of rough. Still low mileage for the age. Nice. Right. This has a feel of massive Shrek candle to seal the shorts lunch. Well, we've already had an amazing bounce by the dip. This is why I'm not shorting anything, because this keeps happening. It's just you've got to be so incredibly accurate. It's just not worth shorting. Not sure if you saw my question, but do you have a degree to become an electrician? I do not have an electrician's degree. My father-in-law was an electrician, and I've helped him with many jobs. Not to mention, I wired my entire house. I did 100% of the electrical work on the house, setting up the service, pulling the pipes, running electric, running Ethernet, audio cables, everything. I did it all. And all passed codes. I had to do one correction with the permits, but I did pass all the codes, and I enjoyed the whole thing. So I learned a lot from him, and of course, obviously, I still have a lot to learn if I were to open a business, but I do not have a degree.